If you look around any city, what's the one thing you see absolutely everywhere, but probably never really think about? It's the parking lot. But these huge stretches of pavement, they hold a pretty surprising secret about how our cities actually work and what they could one day become. So, what if that space, the one we barely even notice as we're just trying to get from our car to wherever we're going, what if that was actually one of the most powerful forces shaping our lives, our environment, and yeah, even our wallets? Let's dig in and take a closer look. To really get a handle on the power of parking, we first have to wrap our heads around its incredible scale. It's kind of like this invisible landscape that's all around us. I mean, a sight like this is so common we've pretty much become blind to it, right? We see a single empty spot, but we rarely see the whole picture. A massive, and I mean massive, amount of land dedicated to just storing cars. So, how much land are we really talking about? Well, get this. Researchers estimate there are at least 800 million surface parking spaces in the United States alone. Just let that sink in for a second. We have literally paved over an area larger than the entire island of Puerto Rico just so our cars have a place to sit. And that number, that's just the surface lots. It doesn't even count all the garages. And when you zoom into our city centers, it gets even more extreme. As MIT's Dr. Aaron Ben-Joseph points out, we've given up a third of our most valuable central land, not for homes or parks or businesses, but for parking. It's wild. Now, you can probably guess that all of this space comes with a price tag. We love to talk about free parking, but as we're about to see, it is anything but. In fact, it's one of the most expensive things we build. Just to build a single parking space costs thousands. A simple spot on a surface lot, that can run about $4,500. If you put it in a multi-level garage, you're looking at over $22,000. And if you have to bury it underground, a staggering $34,000 per space. And believe it or not, those massive upfront costs, they're just the beginning. It turns out parking structures, especially garages, are some of the most high-maintenance buildings you can possibly have. Yeah, when you factor in everything, the land, the maintenance, security, all the repairs, that free spot is costing somebody between $1,500 and $5,000 every single year. And you might be wondering, why is that? Well, parking garages live a really hard life. Think about it. They're constantly being attacked by water and all the de-icing salts that drip off our cars. They have to deal with huge temperature swings. So what happens? The concrete cracks, the steel inside rusts, they just fall apart way faster than a normal building. Okay, so here's the crucial question. Who pays for all of this? The answer is, we all do. It's bundled into higher rents for apartments. It's in the price of our groceries, the cost of a movie ticket. Economists call this a hidden subsidy. By making parking seem free when you pull in, we are all collectively subsidizing driving, which pushes up costs for everyone, whether you own a car or not. So this enormous hidden cost, this huge subsidy for parking, it has these consequences that just ripple out and end up shaping the very way we live and move. For decades, the logic was super simple. People are driving, so we need to build more parking. But it turns out the research shows the exact opposite is true. The data is crystal clear. The amount of parking we build is one of the biggest reasons people drive so much. Making parking abundant and free doesn't just accommodate driving, it actually encourages more of it. And this realization has led to a fundamental shift in thinking. The old way was just to build as much parking as humanly possible, basically assuming everyone would always drive everywhere. But the new, smarter way is to actually manage the parking we already have, recognizing that people use bikes and transit and their own 2 feet, and that we can use our lands a whole lot more efficiently. And that old way of thinking, it's being seriously challenged by new technologies and some really innovative ideas that are completely changing our relationship with the car. I mean, just take ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft. One study found that over 26% of riders would have actually driven themselves and needed a parking spot if that service wasn't an option. It turns out the sheer stress of just finding a parking spot is enough to make people totally willing to pay more just to avoid driving altogether. Cities are getting a lot smarter, too. Instead of just a flat rate for parking, many are starting to use demand-based pricing. The price goes up when a block is full, and it goes down when it's empty. And the goal here isn't just to make more money, it's to keep about 15% of the spaces free at any given time, which pretty much eliminates that awful feeling of circling the block over and over again hunting for a spot. So, when you start to combine these new technologies and these smarter policies, we can start to ask a really, really exciting question. What becomes possible when we stop dedicating so much of our best land to just empty cars? The choice, when you see it like this, is pretty stark. We can keep using our valuable city real estate for parking lots, or we can transform those exact same spaces into parks or housing or vibrant public squares. It's really a choice between a landscape for cars and a landscape for people. As transportation expert Wes Marshall puts it, it all comes down to priorities. For way too long, we've basically twisted our cities into weird shapes just to fit the needs of the automobile. The challenge now is to build cities that are great on a human scale, and then let the technology adapt to that. And that really leaves us with the ultimate question. If you look at those vast seas of pavement in your own community, and if storing cars isn't the highest and best use of that land, then what is?